Dear listeners of the AUIBFM 101.5, for every achievement there is a story, and for every story there is a moment where the details of success are told. Today, we stand at one of the most important milestones in the journey of the American University of Iraq, Baghdad, the graduation of its second class of students who are closing a chapter filled with learning, dedication, and perseverance, and opening a new chapter defined by ambition, responsibility, and achievement. This is an occasion that celebrates not only graduates, but also the value of education, the efforts made inside and outside the classroom, and the vision built on the belief that the greatest investment is the investment in people. Yet, this milestone is only one part of much larger story, a story of a university that continues to grow, expand its academic horizons, and pursue official American accreditation, and create new opportunities for its students through graduates programs and partnerships with leading institutions around the world. Today, we revisit the most important moments from this landmark graduation ceremony and explore the future of AUIB with the president of the American University of Iraq, Baghdad, Professor Bradley Cook. But first, let's say hello and welcome to the Professor Bradley Cook, and we are very honored to have you with us today at the Uni Voice Show.
Sabah al-khair, ya
Sabah
Miriam.
al-noor.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome anytime, and we are very honored and happy to have you with us today at the Uni Voice Show at AUIB-FM. And first, Professor Cook, before we talk about AUIB and the magical moment in the graduation ceremony, who is Bradley Cook and what journey led you to become the president of the American University of Iraq, Baghdad?
Oh, well, good question. I'd rather talk about the graduation because
We want to know
typically
more.
are a little uncomfortable talking about myself. But it is an interesting story, I think. I think your listeners might be interested in this. So I'm from one of the western states in the United States called Utah. And my parents moved us to Saudi Arabia in the 70s. My father and mother were educators.
That's interesting.
So I grew up in Saudi Arabia when I was a kid until I was about 15. So that experience as a young person defined me in terms of my interests in this part of the world. So it got in my DNA and in my blood about loving the culture and history and language and comparative religion and being able to have friends that were from all over the world. So when we moved back to the United States and I pursued my education, and I went to Stanford University and ended up getting 2 degrees there, but ended up gravitating to courses and majors that had a Middle Eastern element to it. So my undergraduate degree was in international relations with an emphasis on the Middle East, and an education degree where I did a research project relating to Middle Eastern education. So that's my academic foundation started to grow from these early experiences as a kid, but also then my academic work. My first job out of college was in Cairo. Right, I was at the American University in Cairo, and I was an assistant to the president there, which really at that point I realized 2 things. One is that I wanted to stay in higher education, and 2, that I wanted to have an international career, so especially in the Middle East if I could. So from there, I ended up going to Kuwait. And working right after the Gulf War, I worked for an engineering company that was putting out the oil fires there and helping rebuild Kuwait's oil infrastructure. So that allowed me to see sort of a corporate side, right, of a profession, but still in the part of the world that I loved. But I knew I wanted to get a PhD. I knew I wanted to go back to higher education, so I needed to get a doctoral degree, and I went to the University of Oxford. And studied at the Middle East Center there at St. Anthony's College under some really great academics. Derek Hopwood is a very, just a renowned scholar of this region. And was able to spend a lot of time researching education systems, particularly in Egypt, where I spent a lot of time with research projects there in and around Cairo. So once I finished my my doctoral degree, I went right into the classroom and was a faculty member for several years, and then ended up getting right into administration. So I ended up being a vice president for academic affairs for a very large university in Utah. Loved it, and realized, that higher education really is my calling. But the Middle East was beckoning, and so I ended up taking my family to Abu Dhabi. So I was the president of the Abu Dhabi Women's College, which was a terrific experience, a very unique experience where I just really loved that. In the meantime, I was writing a book on education and Islam. And one thing I was very struck about the kind of foundational scholars of Islamic education, especially between the 9th and 13th centuries, had a lot to say about education and educational philosophy. Yet a lot of people don't know this work, and so I felt I really wanted to kind of bring it to light to at least English-speaking audiences, and wrote a book called Foundations of Islamic Educational Thought. So ended up going back to the United States and ended up becoming a president, in Utah, and was there for 10 to 12 years, but I just could not leave the Middle East alone, and ended up getting recruited to be the president of the American University of Bahrain. And there, I was able to bring the university to WASC accreditation. So it was the first U.S. accredited university in the kingdom, and it really is doing really quite well. And then I had this opportunity to come here, and I was immediately captivated by the prospect and the possibilities of what this university can do.
Okay.
And meeting the founders and listening to their deep dedication to education, their deep dedication to Iraq. They've been very successful, and they could have done a lot of things with their resources and money, but they chose to invest here.
In learning, yes.
In learning and in young people, and because they understand at a very deep and fundamental level what education can do for human well-being, but also in terms of the economics and in future of Iraq. So my wife and I, Jen, who is our director of the Wellness Center,
we send our greetings to her.
Thank you very much. She would love to hear that, and I think you've had her on the show before. She's been
in the morning show.
She does a lot in terms of helping people with their mental well-being and larger, kind of issues, and so that they can lead a healthier and more robust life.
Yes.
We both love this place, and we love the building of it.
Yes.
We both are builders at heart. And that's where we are with this university.
And we wish to both of you the best of luck with this mission to lead this university to a brighter future. Such an inspiring journey. It's a professional academic journey, and it's really inspiring and interesting. I mean, now let's talk about the graduation ceremony.
Yes, let's do.
And all the details about this magical moments in the graduation ceremony. The second graduation ceremony featured several traditions that were new to many attendees. Professor, how closely these traditions reflect those of leading universities worldwide, and which tradition do you value the most?
That's a tough one about what I value the most. What I would say to frame it is that universities are more than just places of education. They really are places in which you create community.
Yes.
And communities are healthiest when they have traditions, and they have customs, and they have mores and cultures and personality, because you want to sort of bind over generations, having a sense of identity. And so a couple of things that we started this year, which is really, really terrific. One is a legacy grove where each of the graduating classes will have their own tree.
Okay.
And that will be great because 50, 60 years from now, when the alumni come back to the campus, that is a place in which they can rally, and there'll be QR code where they can bring up old pictures and memories of that particular year that they graduated. So their families will have a sense of belonging. So that's one that I think universities do. The second one that was really important change this year was the honorary degree recipient, and this is a very common but very powerful way that universities can honor those people in our communities and in our countries that are incredible role models for their public service and their leadership. And we were so honored that we were able to bestow an honorary doctorate.
Yes, of course.
Of public service.
We're about to talk more in details about this moment, but we have a lot of tradition we've seen. We don't have it here locally in Iraq. Is it connected to the American education style or maybe the British education style? How the students are attending to the stage and maybe they having their own outfit. It's really different from other styles here in Iraq and maybe outside Iraq. So are you just want to do something like the worldwide universities and all these international universities who are doing everything in a professional way?
Yeah, so I think this is really more of an American model when it comes to things like the different colors of the hoods representing each different discipline. Engineering has a different color on their hood, yes. Law, etc. So it's a very American thing. The honorary doctorate is mostly an American feature.
And the medal and the certificate.
The medal, the certificate, as well. But you also have the, you've got the procession
yes.
where the students come in and led, with a faculty member carrying, the kind of symbol of the university.
Yes.
So these are very, very American features, but they go back to the very deep roots of kind of European traditions as well, because the gowns themselves go back to Oxford and to Cambridge when there was, when they wore gowns and wore hoods as a part of their academic work.
So you're just doing it in a professional way. It's an American university here in Baghdad, and you're doing it like the American style and the tradition in the graduation ceremony.
Yeah, and I would say, listen, I know I'm the president here, and I'm the cheerleader in chief here, but I got to say, with all genuine sincerity, this is probably the most well done commencement that I've ever been part of, and I've been part of this for 30 plus years. The professionalism, the sort of technical sort of coverage, the everything about it was just sort of spectacular. So I really want to thank our Marcom and a million other people that
a lot of companies were working in this ceremony to make it brighter and just look in a professional way for all the people and the students. To create memories in a professional way, I think it's the best way that this graduation ceremony make its own statement for the graduation students and also their families. They will remember this ceremony maybe for the rest of their life. It was something really magical and spectacular. And I want to ask you about something it was really, really important to mention and to talk about. The ceremony itself was attended by prominent figures from both the public and the private sectors. What message does their presence send about AUIB's growing role in Iraq?
Yeah. Well, I think there's no doubt that AUIB is growing in prominence and attention publicly. I think people have great hope about the university, what it can do for the country. I wasn't here very long where I was able to meet with the president of the country and the prime minister and the president of the Supreme Judicial Council, and all of them said, listen, we believe in this university. And the university is important to the country. And I really believe they believe that because we adhere to high standards. We adhere to international standards, including WASC accreditation, which we are working on. And so I think what this is a testament to people's faith that the university is what it says it is. So, and can you imagine how great it would be as a graduate to be able to have Dr. Faik Zaidan as your keynote speaker?
Yes, of course.
And this guy's an
I totally agree.
incredible.
I'm sure they will not forget this graduation ceremony.
They won't.
Yes. So about the Chief Justice Faik Zaidan, we see him received an honorary doctorate during the ceremony. In your view, and you have an academic professional experience for more than 3 decades or more, what makes someone deserving of such a recognition?
Yeah. This is the highest honor a university can give outside of its degrees on its students. And so universities are very, very selective about who they honor. And so one has to have, in fact, we have a policy on this, that, you have to have a certain level of the character of this person has to be beyond reproach. Someone that has given an incredible example. Sometimes it's somebody can be a great business person who's done something in terms of creating a business, but has made major impact on the social life. Sometimes it can be political types who have made a great contribution around education, but it can be just a person that has just dedicated their life to something bigger than themselves. So you'll see examples of all kinds of honorary degree recipients, but universities are very, very selective about this because you just don't want to cheapen what the meaning of that degree is.
Yes, of course. So you've done searching on the professional and the academic journey of the Chief Justice Faik Zaidan before giving him this recognition?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we of course his background is spotless, but what we gave him was an honorary doctorate in leadership and public service. And that's where we really wanted to focus on. I mean, he has great academic credentials for sure, but think about what he's been able to do about the rule of law, what he's been able to do in terms of help build foundations of democracy, of the republic here. Without that judicial system and having the kind of leadership that he's provided, it would have been that much harder for Iraq to get where it is now.
Okay. So I want to talk now about a moment that gone viral on social media. It's with you and from you, Mr. President. Your use of Imam Ali alayhi salam quote attracts considerable attention on social media, and the people was talking about it. What inspired you to include it, and what does it mean to you personally to have a quote from this very important personality for several of people and many of people who believe in that quote that قيمة المرء ما يحسنه.
Yes, I know. Yes. Well, I first came across that quote when, of course, researching for my book, and it stuck with me because what I wanted to, the message I wanted to give the graduates is listen, congratulations on getting your degree, and congratulations on a great GPA and an academic career. But listen, what really matters is our character. Right.
Yes.
And that's what his point is that, and this is one thing I love about the idea of how Islam thinks about education is, it's a very holistic, ta'aleem versus tarbiyah, right? That altogether, they provide a kind of a whole person. And so I think that's what the Imam is suggesting is
الإمام علي عليه السلام.
yeah
Yes.
that it is important to develop your mind, but don't forget your character, and what you do well matters.
Well, that's so deep. I mean, Mr. President this year introduced new academic honors and distinctions. What is their significance, and how can they just benefit graduates in the future? I mean, what's the idea of having different kinds of academic honors?
Well, different honors, like, to be able to sort of celebrate those that are best in class, right? So when you have these valedictorians, we have a valedictorian for each college. I think we have to sort of reward and recognize merit where we see it. And people that have worked that much harder than the rest, or and that's what these medals are recognizing, is that, listen, you are cream of the cream, best of the best. So those medals are really important to showcase those students who have gone above and beyond just the ordinary,
and to encourage the new generation to do their best.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that this is let's keep your eyes, in terms of what you're shooting for, very high, and because if these types of students can do it, then you can too.
Okay, so I want to ask you about, following the success of the MBA program, are there plans to launch additional master's programs or international dual degree opportunities? I mean, a lot of people are questioning about that. We have a successful program like the MBA, I know, but people are asking, is there any new field when it's come to having a master degree in it?
Yeah, this is a great conversation, and we're in the process of planning these degrees. But the closest, the graduate degrees that are closest to coming to fruition is the LLM, which is a master's degree in law, and with a partnership with George Mason University in Virginia, just right outside of Washington, D.C. The LLM degree is specifically geared towards professionals that may have an undergraduate sort of law degree, but want to sort of get a master's degree. And to be able to have a dual degree with AUIB and George Mason would be really, really attractive. It's also, going to be delivered on the weekends and in the evenings or afternoons, so professional, sort of working students can take advantage of it. So the LLM is something that we should have ready to go by fall. We're also looking at a master's of health administration. This is a master's degree that is so needed in our hospitals and clinics around the country. We are also looking at a master's within the oil and gas sector.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's really interesting.
Yeah, with a partnership with West Virginia University.
That's wonderful.
So there's several other degrees. I wanted to also say that we're very close to expanding our MBA program to double the cohort. We're working with the ministry right now to move it from 25 to 50, which will really be awesome. One of the things that I'd love to explore is the DBAs, the Doctorate of Business Administration. There's a lot of demand for a doctoral business administration. It would be our first doctoral program. But we're not quite ready, I think, just yet to start offering a doctoral program. But that'll probably be our first doctoral program, if any.
I want to ask you something really, really important. From the first graduation ceremony to the second, what do you consider the university's most important achievements, and what comes next?
Yeah, well, the most important, I think, is that we went from 35 graduates last year to 150. That's just a terrific, yeah. So the amount of students we've been able to impact is phenomenal. But what has happened in this last year is really no less than stunning. In terms of our growth, we continue to grow. The demand for an AUIB degree continues to grow. We continue to mature the university in terms of its processes and its policies. We were able to open up an 11,500 square meter lecture hall, which really is going to help us in terms
of big achievement.
Big achievement.
All the students are there and they're studying, and they have the best time when it's come to studying in the lecture hall.
So that really allows us to grow, more programs and the university, I think in a year has done so much, and a lot of it is about the maturation of the university in terms of the spine of the university, which really are its foundations. It's teaching pedagogies. It's kind of having very clear learning outcomes, which for most people that may not sound like much, but it's really, really important for quality universities to get the learning part quite well.
The best possible way, yes.
Best possible way, yeah.
And what comes next that you're promising the people with it?
Yeah. Well,
big responsibility.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue to we'll have a larger class this next year. I think we'll probably double, which is a good problem to have. But I'm a little worried about where we're going to have a commencement next year, where this year was even tight in terms of space. We'll have new programs. We'll make further progress on our accreditation. We'll continue to hire new faculty. We'll have a lot more. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on engineering there as we hire engineering faculty, and our engineering labs that are really critical for the progress of our students. I think you're going to also see the university be asked to do a lot for the country.
Yes.
Consulting, feasibility studies, because we have a new government that is in place, and I think these ministers are looking for good ideas, and with our connections to global partners, we continue to grow more partnerships around the world, which strengthens our curriculum. And one thing I want is to be able to have more opportunities for our students to study abroad. Right, so students can find a way to study in Japan or study in Europe or study in the United States, even if it's for 2 or 3 weeks, or these short-term concentrated programs. Eventually, I'd love to be able to have student housing here, because once we open student housing, we're going to be able to draw a lot more students from around the country and international.
Yes.
So there's so much on our plate that.
And I just want to talk about this thing with your extensive international experience. Professor, do you see AUIB becoming a regional or global destination for higher education in the future?
Yeah, our sights are set very, very high. And if you look at our mission statement and our vision statement, it really is to have it be an institution of global reputation.
Okay.
And that takes a lot to do, and it's going to take us some time, but I have no doubt we can get there.
Okay. Finally, Professor Cook, I want to ask you, what message would you like to share with this year graduates and with students considering joining the AUIB?
So what I would say to those students thinking about AUIB, I want you to think about how important this decision is for higher education, and think about the value that it's going to provide your life and your family over time. So we want you to think about AUIB as your university. We want you to be prepared. We're going to challenge you like good coaches challenge athletes. And to be good at anything, right, is not easy.
Yes.
And that's part of the integrity of a university. So, if you're serious about your education, if you're serious about your future, then this is the place for you. And you need to be dedicated to being a student. That's your full-time job. But I promise you, right, that if you come here and you do the work, your life will be blessed. It's what I call the law of the harvest. You know what the law of the harvest is?
Yes.
Where you have to put in the work, right?
Yes.
And you got to plant the seeds, but you have to water the seed. And
in Arabic we say ازرع حتى تحصد.
Perfect.
من زرع حصد.
Yes, exactly right.
Yes.
So you have to put it in. This is the time for you to be planting. This is the time for you to be growing those strong roots and those strong trees. And if you do it now, when the harvest comes, right, you're going to have it's going to be very rich. So
Yes.
that's my challenge to you is pick your university that's going to challenge you, but it's also going to have a bigger payoff for you in the end.
And also a professional message for the graduates. Something you wish that somebody told you when you were a graduates like them, and it will benefit them in their professional career at the end.
Well, what I would say is that persistence is king. So if you run up against some challenges, maybe it might be a little difficult to find that job initially, or you don't have the job that's perfect for you right now. The idea is to keep pushing. Don't give up. And it could be easy to give up, but the future is very bright, especially for Iraq. And I would say dedicate your career to something outside yourself, right? So you think about what you can do for the larger society of Iraq, your communities. There'll be a lot more sort of gratitude that you have and well-being. If it's just about yourself, that's always sort of an empty road. So find a job that brings you outside of yourself, that you can do something good for those around you. You'll find that to be much more satisfying.
That's really wonderful. Professor Bradley Cook, the president of the American University of Iraq, Baghdad, thank you so much for just coming here today at AUIB FM and having this fruitful conversation with you and give us all the information that we want to the people and to the graduates and their families. Thank you so much. We were very honored to have you with us today. And if you want to say anything at the end, the mic is yours.
شكرا جزيلا. يعطيك العافية يا مريم. Thank you very much. This has been really enjoyable. I wish the radio station all the success, and thank you so much for what you do in terms of covering it and helping us create a great community here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor, and this is my job. And أهلا وسهلا بك دائما.
أهلا بك. All right. Thank you very much.